G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel, Bonsai Works. I have a very common juniper, prostrata or procumbens, however you like to call them, I guess. This is quite a nice tree, it belongs to a customer of mine, a new customer. He's got 3 of these that I'm going to style over the next couple of videos, you'll see. This is the first one. It's a very typical juniper procumbens. It's got a nice shape, it's got the triangular kind of look, it's got some nice, it's had some work done, it's got some wiring done, branches are hanging down, it's got some nice movement in the trunk, there is a bit of movement angling this way and around. So it does, one good thing it does have is it's got a branch that starts here, which is not too bad. Really it's hard to find branches that start low down, but this has been wide down and into this area, creating a nice kind of start, at least for this tree. But then obviously with these procumbens, there's not much until you get up into the top, and the top's used as the branches to create, you know, this is like the apex being bent down to create this branch. So it's covered in spider webs, which is okay. We just have to make sure there are no redbacks in there, but that's about it. So just, this is going to be I guess it's the transformation, but I'm happy with the actual planting angle on this tree. I'm not going to change it. For now, it looks quite nice. It's a nice, as I said, it's a nice shape. It's got the nice profile. Just needs to be pretty much wide and thinned out. The foliages are getting a bit excessive. It's not looking refined. You see the tips are growing right out. Just got to get it back, create the nice pads again. Probably doesn't have to have a massive amount of wire, but you know me, I like to make sure the tree is perfectly styled for the owners. So yeah, let's get cracking into this and we'll get through it. So sometimes people ask, where do you actually start on some of these trees? You come back to the basics of junipers, really. You need to eliminate growth, okay? Anything growing down can be taken off. This is so much foliage on this tree that anything that's hanging down, if you wire a branch, these branches are luckily been wired, so you can actually come in and go, oh, this branches that are going backwards and so on. Like for example, on this main branches are going backwards down here. I don't need them. They're not going to serve any purpose. I don't need to wire them around or anything like that. There's a beautiful pad of foliage already happening on this tree. So that's where you start to eliminate. Go through the tree slowly, bit by bit, and start to eliminate anything that's going downwards. Any crotch growth. Now, there's probably lots of crotch growth in here. For example, this has got a nice branch, and then all these little buds that are in here, that's a crotch growth. So you can just come in and start to eliminate. You can cut with your scissors, or you can come and pluck those out with your fingers, because you're never going to use them. So crotch growth is a huge change that you can make, because once you start eliminating all that, start eliminating all the downward growing branches, the tree actually opens up and you can actually see into it. You can see what needs to be moved and styled and so on. And then obviously things that are too long, we'll have to reduce them back. So that's pretty much what I'm going to go through the whole tree now. I'll do that now and then before I wire, because if I have crotch growth, I really can't get the wire in to the area. I'm going to see which branches I'm going to keep and so on. So it's purely just going through it. So, and I just pluck it out with my fingers usually. I feel for anything growing down and start to pluck away. And if I feel it's a decent sized branch, I'll have a look at it, make sure it's okay. For example, I see there's nice 2 branches in here, much better. It's pretty good. And now this branch, I feel for it and go, okay, there's some downward growing fluff, and then I slowly pluck it away. It's very straightforward, very easy to get it cleaned up without much need to wire just yet. You know, you don't have to wire all these little buds that are going downwards. You just wire the branch, and then everything will, once you wire it, all these will sit nicely up and look quite nice. So for example, these 2 in here, if I've cleaned up all the underneath part and cleaned up that, then I'll come in and reduce the bit there, and then look at that, it's a beautiful little pad already. And then you go into it again and go, that's a bit too long, let's eliminate that and eliminate that, and start to actually thin it out a bit more and get it looking pretty good. So that's pretty much what I do and go through it all. But if I did that video, it'll be 2 hours long, 3 hours long of me going through the whole tree doing that. So just as a quick step, those 2 are quickly done. Clean up underneath. I haven't done all the crotch growth, but I'll get through it, and then take anything underneath, take anything that's growing too much on top, and anything that's going downwards. Take the apex, the tip out off, and just slowly reduce, and then you got a nice little pad. So I'm going to go through the whole tree. Just do that before I wire. So I've thinned out the tree. Doesn't look like I've done a massive amount, but there is quite a bit of foliage now on the floor. But a lot of the ends have been reduced. A lot of the down growth has been taken off, and all the crotch growth has been taken off. It does look thinner at the top. Yeah, a lot of things have been reduced. Now, I want to talk more about now style of the tree. I could wire it just as it is and get it defined. However, I think there's some tweaks that I need to make. I don't know if you can notice, but this branch kind of comes in a little bit in towards you this way, flows this way, rather than I'm going to consider doing it this way, opening it up a little bit more, making it more long, mature, strong branch, just like how you see in nature. So that's one change I'm going to make, getting the branch to go this way, and then I can put all my pads and wire them out, and makes it look like a much better branch, more older tree rather than coming in, I don't know, kind of making you kind of hiding in a way if it's coming in this way. Now I've got to deal with this side as well, this very long branch. There's no branches on the inside here at all, so I can't have a branch in here. So I have to do a drop kind of branch in here, which is fine. I do that all the time. Now it's just how low do we go? Like it needs to be a bit shorter than this one, but just also in what kind of direction we're going to go. So a few things like that I've got to work on, but most importantly is setting this branch first, and then we can build the tree around that. I am contemplating probably, because what happens is this is pretty much going horizontal. So if I could, I might put a guide wire into here, something, and try and compress that to make a bit more, this branch dropping a bit more. And it gives a bit more interest in the tree rather than this horizontal apex and then drop the branch. If it was more, comes up here and kind of goes down there and then drops the branch, kind of looks a bit better. So my other plan is to get a guy wire at the moment and drop it and make a bit more of an apex feel here, and then having a long branch, lower branch down here. A few little things that I found, probably tips for you guys, especially if you've got very similar junipers. Sometimes there's not much growth in here, so there's a bit bare. What happens is you get little tufts of new growth coming up, just shooting around. Sometimes this had so many, so cut back to at least just 2 or something like that, or 1. So I've cut back to 2. There's so many little puffs of foliage. You don't want those little puffs to get the energy. You want these 2 to get the energy so you can build a branch out here. So in here, there's 2 there now. Only I've left 2 in here, these 2 little ones. So pretty much you want to leave them, get rid of everything else, all the little crotch growth and so on, so that these 2 get the energy and grow now. Okay. All right. So I'm going to wire this, and then we'll look what the tree looks like after I put the wire on. So if the wind behaves itself, you can probably just see this first branch fully wired and all the pads created. And I've got now the direction of this branch set into this it's pointing into this side. So bring it around maybe to that side. You can probably see a lot better what the tree looks like. It's got nice layers all the way through, all different angles. So there's one here, one there, and then the arrow right at the end, the big arrow shape in there at the bottom. So that's how you go about trying to at least create this branch and follow the same process. Now I'm going to have to try and bring some foliage in around here, which it's a little bit lacking because there's a bit of a bare spot here, but that's okay. We'll just get some back branching set, so forth, more wire, and then I'll probably just guy wire it, as I mentioned, a bit closer and get this one down into the spot I want. So more wiring, but I wanted to show you how you go this approach of just cleaning up. So I've cleaned up the branch, I was able to fully wire it, and now I'm done from there. So as long as the storm stays away, I'll be able to get some more work done. So here's where the tree's at the moment. It's pretty much fully wired up until about here, and all the back is also done. So you can see the back also wired. Now I'm just left with the head of the tree. You'll notice there's a small guy wire in there. I'll just have a closer look in there, pulling that closer into the tree. So this comes in closer, and then a pad's been formed here. Beautiful pad, pad. Lots of little pads in here forming the stepping process down. So it comes up really nicely in this section. This is really nicely done as well. And really, it's just a matter of getting this top now set. I am trying to bring this top more this way, so I can sit more in the middle on this side. I want kind of, I didn't want the tree to lean too much more that way. I want it to come back a bit more this way. So I will be working on these branches, getting them more around to this side, and then completing the tree. So that should finish off. As long as this weather holds out, the wind's been pretty crazy the last day or two. So hopefully we'll be able to get this tree done. But yeah, just cleaning up, still cleaning up, fine wiring everything. I'm using very like 20 gauge copper for the fine wiring, so it's very fine. But it makes a big difference in terms of how the tree will overall. So I'm going to go away and wire this apex, make sure it's all white, and then I'll put a point of view, me putting it all into position so you can see how I actually go about forming the top of the tree and trying to get it over this side more. Okay, so we'll do that, and hopefully you guys can see a good view. All right, so let's give this a go. It's a point of view look at how I'm going to style this tree. Now I have wired everything in here. I will look at just plucking if there's anything that's going down. But let's set this one here. I want it to try and block a little bit in there, so we'll see if I can get these a little bit down. If I see that, I come with my scissors. Probably see the clean line, or trying to get a clean line underneath here on this branch. It's kind of in the right place. Just needs to fill out a little bit in this spot. Otherwise, it's pretty good. These are the little fluffs that remember I was telling you about that need to grow. So they just need time to make a branch up in here. Nothing much I can do in this case there. But setting that first one in here, trying to get a pad in here. Okay. Now the rest. There is a kind of a back branch that I just want to bring around into here. Now the reason I want to bring around into here is kind of block this unattractiveness up here. So you should be okay in this position. There's a branch in here that's got a lot of sub branches. Just spin it around. This branch here, I'll lift it up and show you a lot of sub branches here. There's quite a big branch, so we're going to use that now. And trying to make a few back branches, side branches, and so on. So I bring it back to the front. So now I try and turn a little bit of that big back branch back down. But I also want a little bit in the front here. I could use some bit more sub wiring in here. There's a few little bits that I need to probably wire. I'm trying to create another layer as well. I'm trying to. So many branches that I can create a bottom layer and then come up to another layer in here. So I'll show you what I've kind of done very roughly with one hand. So there's a lower one, and then I put another branch that's further back. I brought up and trying to create another layer in here. See that? And just flatten it back out. Probably have to thin this area a little bit. It's a little too long. So I just come in. Anything going down, anything that's too strong, I cut with scissors at the stem. Okay, thin that out. Hope this storm stays away for long enough, but we'll see. Plucking underneath. It's probably a little bit long. Cut the wire off. Alright, so it's a bit nicer. A bit more better silhouette now. So this is the tricky part. It's always the final part of the apex in here. So I'm going to have to bring this one. Going down, I'm going to pluck. So these are a bit too heavy, so I might have to just thin out a little bit. It probably goes in there. Now I have to create a rounded apex. I'm not creating a stick. I've got to create a rounded apex, okay? So Yeah, I think it's just this one, and then I'll do some cleaning up. I will have to put a bit of fine wire on these, see how they're just sticking up. So I'll just fine wire those. So I've created a more rounded apex once I wire all these down. So it's more rounded. It's not a stick in the air. All right, so hopefully the background will stay without the wind blowing everywhere. But this is the final tree. Much more refined, much more bonsai-like, much more cleaner, much more interesting. The pads are now more well defined. All the spider webs are gone. Hopefully there's still some young spiders in there that will keep away the nasty insects. It's good to have spiders in your trees, actually. But anyway, here's what the tree is finally looking like. Really beautiful. When you've got a healthy tree, you can really make these pads start to really come to life. Rounded apex. Tried to bring the apex a bit more this way, so it's a bit shorter on this side. Trying to make it a little bit longer on this side. Trying to bring the tree back into this area here, the apex anyway. The two different levels, so this is a bit lower than that, which is good. I can always see little things like, see this branch hanging down? That's all right. But yeah, so this one a bit lower, that one a bit higher, gives you that sense of dimension and symmetry, asymmetry, I should say. So nicely finishing off like that. Hopefully the owner will enjoy this tree and its change. Not much else to report. It's pretty straightforward. I didn't have to change the angle, which is probably a huge bonus. I did like the movement of the trunk. It comes out, goes back, and then comes forward, which is always a good thing. Obviously no branching until this branch up here, which has been dropped down, which is really good. And then, yeah, some early work to drop these branches was a good idea to get this tree looking good. All right, guys, that's really it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you later for more.